Molly's Merry Musical Mission. Molly the Merry Mouse mastered many more musical instruments, making melodious music mostly at midnight in the moonlit meadow. Much to Molly's merriment, many mice marched merrily, making magnificent moves, mimicking Molly's music with miniature maracas and muffled mandolins. Molly made a massive, marvelous maze, mostly made of milky mushrooms and marigolds, for the merry mice to meander through. The merry mice met many mystical mates, a moody mole, a mischievous magpie, and a mild-mannered mongoose, all mingling merrily in the moonlit meadow. One mild Monday morning, Molly the Merry Mouse met a morose mosquito, Marvin moaning about missing marshmallows. Molly, moved by Marvin's misery, made a magnificent mission to the massive mountain to meet the mythical marshmallow maker. Molly and Marvin maneuvered through the misty mountains, munching on mushy mangoes and mealy macadamia nuts, making many merry memories. They met the marshmallow maker, a mellow mammoth named Milton, who made millions of mini marshmallows. Molly, Marvin, and Milton made many marshmallow mountains, marinating them in a mix of mint and melon, making a magically mouth-watering masterpiece. They moved the marshmallow mountains to the meadow, making the morose mosquito merry, and the other mice marveled at the magnificent marshmallow mountains. Molly the Merry Mouse, Marvin the Mosquito, and Milton the Mammoth became the most marvelous mates, making many more merry musical moonlit nights, munching on magnificent marshmallow mountains, making the meadow the merriest place to be. Mirthfully, Molly's next notion was a magnificent mouse music festival named Molly's Melodious Mousepalooza. Molly and her mates mobilized to make the most monumental music meeting ever managed in the meadow. Molly mobilized many mouse musicians, managing to mesmerize many more mice from miles around. The music, a mix of mellow melodies, merry marches, and magnificent metal music, all making a mesmerizing medley. The meadow morphed into a massive, merry musical montage, with mice moving, moshing, and meandering through the magical, moonlit night. Meanwhile, Marvin, the once morose mosquito, mastered the mouth harp, making melodious music that mesmerized even the most meticulous mice. Milton the Mammoth managed the marshmallow mountains, making more magical, mouth-watering mountains, now mixed with mangoes and molasses, making them even more marvelous. Molly's Melodious Mousepalooza made a massive monumental mark. Mice wearing miniature monocles and marvelous masquerade masks mingled. Even the moody mole and the mischievous magpie, now merry members of the meadow, moved to the music, marveling at the magnificent moonlit merriment. As dawn drew near and the first delicate daylight danced delicately down, Molly and her merry mates marveled at the memory they'd made. The meadow, once a mild, mundane place, had morphed into the most magnificent, merry musical marvel. Molly the Merry Mouse, with her musical mastery, her magnificent marshmallow mountains, and her monumental Mousepalooza, had made a mere meadow a magical, memorable, merry-making masterpiece, marking Molly as the most marvelous merry mouse of all. As the sun slowly surfaced, signaling the start of a splendid Sunday, the sleepy yet satisfied souls started to scatter, still savoring the spellbinding symphony of sounds and sweets from the spectacular soiree. But Molly, ever the energetic enthusiast, already envisioned an even more elaborate event. No longer content with confining her creative concerts to the cozy corners of the countryside, Molly mused on making her musical marvels a mainstay in the broader boroughs beyond. A touring troupe, Molly mused merrily, her mind milling over the magnificent map of her next monumental mission. Gathering her gear, Molly mobilized a merry band of musicians, magicians, and makers of mirth. They constructed a colossal caravan, cleverly crafted from colorful canvas and capable carts, to carry them from city to city, sharing their spirited shows and spreading stupendous joy. Their travels took them through towering towns, down dainty dales, and across colossal counties. At each stop, they drew diverse denizens, ducks, dogs, and delightful dragons, all drawn to the delightful din of Molly's mobile Mousepalooza. Even the ducks danced, dogs drummed, and dragons delicately delivered dazzling displays of fire, all adding to the allure of the affair. In a particularly picturesque park, as they prepared for a particularly poignant performance, a peculiar problem presented itself. A pack of pessimistic pigeons, perturbed by the party's peculiar proceedings, plotted to pilfer the precious provisions of Marshmallow Mountains. But Molly, with her quick wit and kind heart, invited the pigeons to partake in the party, promising plenty of peck-worthy pieces. The pigeons, pleasantly surprised, promptly participated, and peace prevailed. The touring troupe's triumphs tallied, turning Molly the Merry Mouse into a legend, lauded in lore and loved in letters. Libraries logged tales of her travels, teaching tots to treasure togetherness, tolerance, and the transcendent power of music. Finally, as the troupe trotted back to their beloved meadow, they found it transformed. Their travels had taught them the true treasure of togetherness, transforming not just their surroundings, but their souls. The meadow, now a mosaic of memories and melodies, mirrored the magic they'd made and shared across lands. Molly, gazing gratefully at her gang of gleeful friends, grinned. Our merrymaking mission might have meandered through many miles, Molly mused, but the most marvelous magic we made was melding myriad hearts into one harmonious hum. And so, with the moon marking their merry movements, Molly and her mates made music, marshmallows, and memories, marking many more moments of mirth and maintaining their meadow as the most magical, musical, and merry spot on the map. But Molly's ambitions, as boundless as the skies above, beckoned for a new chapter. Inspired by their past pursuits, Molly envisioned an even grander gala, a festival of festivals, where creatures from all corners could contribute their cultures, crafts, and cheer. A global gala of glee, she gleefully declared, her eyes sparkling with the spirit of shared smiles and songs. To prepare for this unparalleled undertaking, Molly and her mates mapped out a massive meadow, one that sprawled across the scenery like a splendid tapestry. They sent out scrolls sealed with sunflower wax, summoning singers, dancers, painters, poets, and participants of every persuasion from across the globe. As the day of the gala grew near, guests began to gather, a veritable parade of participants. Penguins painted pictures, parrots paraded in plumage of every pigment, and pandas performed plays. The air was alight with anticipation, aromas, and artistry, creating a carnival of camaraderie that captivated every creature. Molly, marveling at the mosaic of merriment, mingled among magicians from Madagascar, storytellers from Siberia, and ballerinas from Brazil. Each brought a burst of beauty, binding the world in a blanket of bliss. Yet, amid the mirth, a mishap materialized. A sudden storm, swift and severe, swept across the sky, threatening to drown the delights in downpours. The guests gazed gloomily at the gathering clouds, their glee giving way to gloom. But Molly, with a heart as resilient as it was radiant, rallied the revelers. Let's make this moment a melody against the mayhem, she motivated. Musicians melded their music with the murmur of rain, dancers twirled with the tempest, and painters portrayed the power of perseverance. The storm, instead of spoiling the spectacle, became a symphony of strength and solidarity. As the skies cleared, a rainbow, rich and resplendent, rose above the realm, reflecting the resolve and radiance of the revelers. The global gala of glee, now gleaming under a golden sunset, was a testament to the triumph of togetherness over turmoil. Molly, amidst the applause and admiration of all, realized that the true treasure was not just in the joy of the jamboree, but in the journey of joining hearts and hands across horizons. The gala had grown into a grand gesture of global goodwill, a beacon of hope and harmony. As the moon mounted the midnight mantle once more, Molly and her multinational mates marveled at the magic they had manifested. They had not only melded a multitude of melodies into a magnificent mosaic, but had also mended the fabric of fellowship, weaving a world where wonder and warmth walked hand in hand. And so, under the watchful eyes of the stars, Molly the Merry Mouse mused on the miracles of music, the marvels of meeting, and the majesty of mutual respect. The meadow, once a modest patch of green, had morphed into a monument of unity, underscoring the endless enchantment of empathy and the everlasting echo of collective celebration. In the days that followed, the echoes of the global gala of glee lingered long in the land. News of the night when music bested a monsoon spread far and wide, inspiring tales and tunes that traversed towns and traversed terrains, touching the hearts of those who had never even seen the meadow. But Molly, ever the visionary, saw beyond the success of the gala. She pondered, what if the spirit of the gala could glow throughout the year, gifting glimpses of glee to every nook and cranny of the globe? Thus, she conceived the grandest plan yet. The Glee Guild, an alliance of artists, adventurers, and advocates, each dedicated to dispersing the delights discovered at the gala across the continents. Molly and her mates began building bridges of friendship and fellowship, not with wood or stone, but with stories, songs, and shared smiles. They organized gatherings, great and small, in villages veiled in valleys, cities crowned with skyscrapers, and towns tucked away in the tapestry of the terrains. Each event was a seed of joy, planted to bloom in its own time and place. The Glee Guild gained momentum, a movement marked by the mirth of Molly's meadow, migrating beyond borders, breaking barriers of belief and background. They brought ballet to the bayous, concerts to the cliffs, and poetry to the plains. No place was too remote, no community too closed for the Guild's glow to grace. Molly, meanwhile, found herself on a journey of joyous jamborees. From the sands of the Sahara, where she and her mates made melodies under the moon, to the fjords of Norway, where they danced in the daylight of the midnight sun. Each journey was a jewel strung on the thread of their mission, each experience enriching the tapestry of their tale. Amidst these adventures, Molly discovered that the greatest gift of the Glee Guild was not the grandeur of its gatherings, but the gentle gestures of goodwill that grew in its wake. In a small town, shadowed by mountains, children who had learned laughter at a guild gala began teaching their elders the art of origami, folding paper cranes as symbols of peace and partnership. In a bustling city, a baker who had danced at a guild gathering began baking bread in the shape of musical notes, distributing them to the hungry with a hum. The Glee Guild, under Molly's merry leadership, became a beacon of benevolence, a testament to the transformative power of togetherness and the enduring enchantment of empathy. The meadow, Molly's modest starting point, had become a metaphor for a world where joy knew no boundaries, and the melody of mutual respect and understanding was the most cherished chorus. As the season shifted and the stars shone on, Molly the Merry Mouse looked upon her legacy, a world woven together with the threads of tolerance, teeming with the tunes of togetherness. And in the heart of the meadow, under the watchful gaze of the moon, the music played on, a perpetual promise of peace and playfulness, a melody that moved mountains, crossed seas, and captured the collective heart of a world made whole by the merry muse of Molly and her mates. As the years unfurled like the petals of a timeless bloom, Molly the Merry Mouse watched the world weave itself into a tapestry teeming with the textures of togetherness and the colors of camaraderie. The Glee Guild, now a global gathering, glimmered as a beacon of hope and harmony, its light touching every corner of the earth. One evening, as a particularly poignant twilight painted the sky in shades of promise and peace, Molly stood in the center of the meadow, now a sanctuary of spirit and song. Around her, the air was alive with laughter, the ground a mosaic of movement, and the night sky a canvas of constellations that told tales of timeless joy. Molly's heart, full to the brim with the beauty of the bonds built, knew that her journey had woven a web of wonder wide enough to embrace the world. She realized that the melody of unity she had hummed in the heart of her humble meadow had become a symphony of solidarity, echoing eternally across the globe. As the moon climbed high, casting a gentle glow over the meadow, Molly gathered her friends, old and new, under the banner of the stars. They looked into the night, where the celestial bodies danced in harmony, mirroring the unity they had achieved on earth. With a heart heavy with happiness and eyes sparkling with tears of joy, Molly spoke, her voice a whisper on the wind. "Our melody has mingled with the music of the spheres. our dance a part of the cosmos's ceaseless choreography. We've shown that joy shared is joy multiplied, that together we can turn the tide of times toward togetherness. A hush fell over the gathering as the creatures of the meadow, the emissaries of the Glee Guild, and the friends from far-flung corners of the earth joined in a circle of solidarity, paws, claws, and hands intertwined. In that moment, the meadow, the world, seemed to stand still, a silent witness to the unity and understanding that had been cultivated. And then, as if on cue, the night erupted in a symphony of sounds. The rustle of the grass, the whisper of the wind, the distant call of the night birds, all harmonizing with the heartbeat of every soul present. It was a music beyond notes, a melody beyond measure, a harmony that held the essence of every heart in its embrace. Molly, with a final glance at the moonlit meadow, whispered, "Let this not be an end but a beacon, a reminder that in every moment of melody, in every act of togetherness, there lies the potential for perpetual peace and perennial joy." And with that, Molly the Merry Mouse, the maestro of mirth, the architect of amity, faded into the fabric of the meadow, her spirit a spark in the eternal dance of the cosmos, leaving behind a legacy of laughter, a lineage of love, and a world woven with the wonders of togetherness. The end of Molly's story was not an end, but a beginning, a prelude to endless possibilities of peace and playfulness, a testament to the truth that in unity, there is unlimited potential for beauty and benevolence. And so, under the watchful eyes of the stars, the meadow continued to be a haven of harmony, a place where every creature, big and small, could find a melody to call their own, in the everlasting echo of Molly's dream. The end.